Hi, I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And today I want to come to you and talk about what's great about flashbacks. And this is a really tough um, live or topic for me to discuss right now, given what's going on in our world at this very moment. But I think that it's really important. It's really important to understand what's happening on a brain level because there's a lot going on right now. There were flashbacks going on before all of this. There will be flashbacks going on because of all of this, and there will be flashbacks going on um, till the end of time because as long as there are humans, because this is a function of our brain. And if you understand what's going on, it can be a lot less scary and you can really take the right steps to help your brain do the work that it's trying to do. And so, my intention here is to educate you on this, help you understand, and just empower you to meet the needs of yourself and the people around you. There's going to be lots of flashbacks. You're going to notice them with your kids. You're going to be able to recognize them and your family members, and um, this will help you empathize with people even more. And hopefully, all of that results in you being more grounded and more present and available. Okay, so let's dive in with flashbacks. So I'm going to talk about what flashbacks are, and then we'll talk about brain stuff, and then what to do about this. Okay, so the first thing of what flashbacks are is you there was an event that occurred, and it was too big to be processed. And I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna tell a story here. So let's say you've got this wood chipper, and that's your processor. It's located in your prefrontal cortex, in your thinking center, and this is part of healing, your inner healer, right? So it's like the mouth of, you got to put stuff in there. The wood chipper breaks it down, and then it goes through the healing pathways, and your brain works it through. What's really wonderful is any event that gets into your wood chipper, your brain, even if it's terrible and horrible, if it gets into the wood chipper, it goes down like emotional, mental, digestion pathways. And so what happens is your brain intelligently and intuitively takes out of it what you need, maybe what you've been looking for decades, or the next great idea you're going to hatch. It takes out of these things and it puts it and it keeps it, and it really hooks things up in there really, really beautifully and well. And you'll notice that your brain is functioning that much better. Sometimes that means 10 times better. Sometimes that just means that maybe it's just now you're able to present without anxiety, or maybe you're able to talk with your kids without freaking out, or you're able to be more responsive instead of reactive. You'll notice changes right away when you get this stuff through. And also, what happens, anything that goes through the wood chipper, there's parts that with this digestive, emotional, and mental digestive process that they will take stuff and it will eliminate it. It will absolutely remove it from your system. And a lot of times, what goes, the thing that really goes is pain. And so, because your brain doesn't need to store pain in there like that. And so it will get rid of that. And by the time that the event is through your entire healing pathways, the whole um, emotional and mental digestive pathways, um, it's grabbed everything it needs. It has upgraded your system. It has done a lot of really wonderful things. And the brain is, the this is what the most powerful piece of equipment you have access to, and that we have access to. It is unlimited. It's able to turn the most terrible things in the world into beautiful gems and gold. I'm always amazed by it. I work with clients that have trauma that just should never have happened on the earth. We have experienced this recently in our country where we have had an event that should have never occurred on the planet, and many of us are dealing with that right now. We're dealing with that. We've had an event. You've had events in childhood, but as I've done this work with people, they can take things that their brain does this. The brain is specialized in doing this, and we don't know about this very much because most of us spend our time getting caught with it and caught up in it and can't get this stuff through the healing pathways. And when you can't, then you're stuck with this, and I'm gonna talk about that. But doing this work, I um, these clients will go from being incredibly traumatized and have stuff that I am just like, I don't even know, and pretty soon they are on this other side, and they'll tell me that they are so grateful for every moment of their life. And I'm just like, okay, we're doing that. That's what we're doing. And I'm just amazed in awe every time because it's so powerful what the brain can do. Can take something that you can't even bear to stand to look at to all of a sudden you're so grateful for it and that you see how this fits into your plan and your journey and all of a sudden you're building from it. Eh, Phenomenal, right? And but what happens is we've got this wood chipper and we have an event, and a lot of us have events from childhood. If you have events from childhood that never got through your chipper and they never got through the healing pathways, things start to back up. And so, and it makes it difficult for us to really process the things that are happening in the present. And so, having said that, people can go a really long time kind of managing okay, and then something big will happen and just really shut everything down. Nightmares, people can't sleep. They can't get to sleep. They're waking up all night long. They're snapping at their loved ones. They're not available. They're spacing out. They're dissociating. Like all these things are happening, right? A lot of this. Okay, and I'm going to reel it back in because I want to get to the end and tell you all the things, but we need to build it up here. Um, okay, so these events happen and they have to get through the wood chipper. And if you're little, you got a little wood chipper, right? And when you're little, you have these really big events, but you can't really get them through there very well. That's what we're supposed to be doing as parents is really helping our kids with these really big issues, get them through their wood chipper. That's so we talk about it, we break it down, we read books with them, we talk about it. There's cartoons helping them conceptualize this stuff and break it down and get it through their wood chipper. Um, and so, but what happens? It doesn't get there. So it's stored in a different part of the brain and life goes on. And this is how flashbacks happen. You see a color and it reminds you of the color of the situation that was in the event that was not good and hasn't been processed yet. And so now, because our brain makes associations, this color it brought up made this association, and now this memory is in your face, and this is a flashback. And this memory can be in your face in visual form. You can see the picture crystal clear, the memory. Sometimes it's in auditory form. You'll see a color. I'm using a color because it's a little bit more abstract, and this happens all the time. People don't know it's happening. They'll see a color, and they'll hear maybe an old phrase that somebody said to them, "You're good for nothing," right? And then the emotions come up from that. So maybe they're feeling the emotion, the flashback. I was just working with a client who felt it in their body, and I was able to show them this is a flashback. This is not something that's in the present. It's something that's in the past that's showing up again because it originated there and now it's reverberating in your body here. But it's the origin isn't here, and there's really no reason except for your brain made the association that this is what I'm supposed to be doing because this is what we did then. Okay. And I just said a lot right there. I hope you're with me. And that's what a flashback is. And what happens is that your brain is really ultimately doing these flashbacks because it well, number one, that's how the wiring is set up. Like you see green and then it goes straight there. So there's a link, right? But also, sometimes it's happening, and I think this is what's happening the majority of the time is that your brain is ready to work on that. It's ready to resolve that. Your inner healer is dedicated to you and is dedicated to taking anything that's causing pain, anything that hasn't been processed yet, grabbing it and putting it through the processor. And what happens is once it grabs it, pain is activated. That's why we don't like to do flashbacks. We don't like to go to the past and painful memories because if we touch it mentally, then we touch it and we feel like that we get burned emotionally. We activate pain. And so we try not to touch that because it hurts. But your inner healer is like, no, I can do that. I can fix that. Let me get over there and grab that. And so it constantly does that. And so one of the things, and then it activates the flashback, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, um, any level. And so, um, where was I with this? So one of the ways that one of the best things. So my client told me today that they were having a lot of flashbacks, and I was like, "Oh, good. Your brain wants to do some work. Let's see what we can do. Let's set it up." Because once that work is done, it's done. It's permanent. It's finished. Because once it goes through the healing pathways, it's done, and you have um, you have these memories. I just got distracted. um, Okay, good. Al says you're so clinical. Yes, associations, flashback pathways. Yes, yes, exactly. Right. I'm really trying to blend this stuff. You see me if you see any of my videos. I came up with the term gunk a second ago. That was very helpful in the previous video. So I want to make this relatable. Um, so, um, because flashbacks are very painful, but once you know how to help the brain heal them, it's like missing pieces get put into your brain. If there's stuff in there that you have a difficult time with internal validation, you can only get external validation, and you can't get any internal validation. That is a break in your function, and that has to be repaired. And let me tell you, it's in the flashbacks. Whether it's just in the flashbacks. So when you find these flashbacks, finding the problem is the worst piece to this whole thing. Finding the issue, the root issue, is the most challenging part. But when a flashback comes up, that's it. You found the thing. And once you can grab hold of that and get it through the healing pathways, that's it. And that's your only job, is to get it through the chipper. The wood chipper, that's it. That's the hardest part. Once that's done, and this takes not much time when you really know how to help the brain, the rest of the brain takes the rest of it and does the rest of the process. It is so fast. And literally, the your brain cannot get it through the chipper. And it can't for many reasons. One, because let's pretend this is your inner healer, right? It goes and grabs it. And this is your survival center. Your survival center is the boss of all the unprocessed stuff, and it will be like, put it down. And then it's like, no, I'm gonna go get it and put it down. And it will go over and over again. And I want you to understand that that cycle of repeating thoughts, repeating memories, that indicates that your inner healer cannot do the work that it's trying to do. It is trying to do it. It's trying to get in there and grab it for you. It's trying to heal that, and it can't. And the reason why it can't is your survival center will not allow it. And so when you can work with the brain, and you need to work with at the survival level, you need to work with your survival center, your limbic system. When you can get that to hold back, your inner healer will grab it and get it through. It really is that simple, and all of a sudden it can get through. This is the piece that is, I see people having the most problems with it. As a matter of fact, that is what I saw that being the biggest piece people have problems with in healing and eliminating flashbacks. I just got rid of everything else from my practice and was like, this is all we're going to do. We're just going to help. We're just going to get the survival system out of the way over and over and over again, so that your brain can do the work that it really wants to do and it can do. Okay. And so, um, oh yeah, Cassandra says once it's in the chipper, it flies through and comes out healed. It's wild. Yes. Yes. I would love to hand you the mic on that one. Because yes, that would be fabulous. But I have the mic. So, what I want you to understand about flashbacks is once you can get them through once you can get them through the chipper and they get processed and your brain heals them, what happens now is, yes, it will keep associating with it, but it will not activate the pain. It will use it in the form that it has it stored. And let me tell you what happens. I have an idea. Okay, when you're eating vitamins, right, it goes through your liver, and your liver changes those vitamins into stuff that's usable for the body, right? If the liver doesn't do its thing, the vitamins are there, but you can't really pick it up and use it. And you can't build your body and your bones and your all that stuff. Emotions are the same way. Like, they have to go into the process, be digested, and be transformed into usable forms. And your brain does all that work. And so now it really can use all of that stuff that was over in unresolved area in your emotional baggage, and it really changes it. So now, yes, it's going to keep flashing back because it's part of your system. We are always flashbacking, flashing back. We're always having flashbacks. And so, but now there's not a painful, disruptive, dysfunctional process. It's in a functional process, so that you can live without being thrown into survival states, right? And now those, when you're being thrown into a survival state, that's because your survival system has somehow been activated and said, no, we need to fight, flight, freeze, or faint, and it will override your whole system, eliminating all your choices, and everything in your body has to be used for survival, and they go under the jurisdiction of the survival center. That's not fun for us. That's really, really miserable for us. And so the more we can shift out of that and the more that we can live in our healthy processed part of the brain, our thinking center, where we have our choices and our morals and our values, the more we can be our authentic self. When these events that happen, when they stay in our um, under the jurisdiction of the limbic system, and they are in emotional form only, they haven't been processed yet. When they're here, you don't really get any choices over it. You can't problem solve with this because it's not in human usable form yet. It's just an animalistic form. It's with instinct. It's and so it's like we just shifting into instinct mode, and we don't get a choice over that. That's why we snap at our children. That's why we're compulsively eating, compulsively shopping, doing things before we thinking about it, blacking out, fighting each other, making really poor decisions because we're going into a survival state where there's not a lot of thinking going on. So, one of the most powerful things we can do for our wellness is really to get this stuff, all of these events, through the healing pathways. Move this emotion, help your brain really do this work. And you'll know if you get stuck because it'll just repeat. It just repeats. I can't stop thinking about this. People say I can't stop thinking about this. People will say um, it just is popping into my awareness. That's not how your brain's supposed to work. Things aren't just supposed to really pop into your awareness with lots of pain, right? We want good ideas to come. Oh my gosh, I was walking and this poof, I had this really great idea. Yes, that's what we really want. But this we don't know when pain is going to jump out us, or this memory is going to jump out at us, or you're laying in bed right before you go to sleep, your inner healer pops up and reminds you, hey, remember about this problem we were facing, remember this video we saw, remember this image, remember, and it's bringing it back, it's flashing it back to us. That tells us that our brain really wants to work on it, because the two healing the what you need to heal, the main ingredient for healing is awareness. It has to come into your sphere of awareness, and so your brain is really trying to make that happen. It says, hey, look at this, because that's one of the pieces of ingredients, is to become aware. And then there's all sorts of functions. Now you need an intervention. Once it's in your awareness, you need an intervention, otherwise it just gets stuck in all this stuff. Crying is a great intervention. There's many that come with our automatic system. Use those. But when you hear people telling the same story over and over and over again, that is a trauma process. That is, we think that if we keep telling the story over and over again, we can get it through the healing pathways, and that's not necessarily accurate. There are stories that you have that you've been hearing for decades, and you're playing them over and over and over again. You can't get them through. That's a sign that your brain hasn't been able to do that. But let me tell you, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of hold on to that and get it through, and it's done. How much time have you saved yourself of never having to repeat this problem? So I hope that was helpful. This was a lot. This is I may have to double up on this one, but or maybe I'll do a duplicate, because really what I wanted to talk about as well, and was circling thoughts, repeating thoughts, and I saw that really try to sneak in here, and I really wanted to keep this just about flashbacks, but I think I will also do another one on circling thoughts, because ultimately these really are all signs that your brain is trying to heal something. And when it's trying to heal something, that is not a time to take action on it, because it's all the stuff is still in your limbic system. It's all in the emotional center, and it hasn't gone through. And your thinking center, we try to do so much thinking and logicking, but we need to get the emotion in there, right? But the emotion has to be converted into usable form to get into that part of the brain, and then it will mix it up and it will come up with amazing ideas, amazing solutions that are perfectly tailored for you. That's your brain's job. It's to solve your problems and to heal you and to keep you moving and to build beautiful things and to connect. That's its job, but it can't do its job if we don't move the emotion. And when you're ignoring emotion or suppressing emotion, you can't expect your brain to really perform like it needs to perform for you. And if I think that's all. I have a lot to say today. I might have to come back and do this again. But okay, okay, you will need to remind me of your awareness and hearing again when we talk. Yes. I will always remind you of that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Um, because, we'll need these skills for our entire life. There will never be a time that we don't have to help our brains with these things, because sometimes there are events or emotions that come up that are much bigger than our wood chipper, and we are going to need to help our brain get it through there. And there's lots of tricks for that. And those tricks are amazing and fabulous. And once you have these tricks or these tools or these strategies in your toolbox, they are always yours. And these are things you can pass on to your children and your grandchildren. That's what I'm about, because I think we should be doing this for ourselves all the time. And this isn't. It's simple when you really break it down to it, and everybody can do this for themselves. Almost everybody, right? Um, so I think that's all for now. If this is something that's really resonating with you, and this is something that you're like, I need to learn how to do this, I need to learn how to really work through flashbacks so that I can eliminate that problem in my life, then absolutely, I invite you to reach out and book a call with me. You can do that by going to rachelmcleod.com/call, and that will take you to my calendar page. Grab a spot that works best for you. I'm going to put that in here. Um, and um, and I'll call you at the time that you choose. We'll spend an hour and figure out what's working, what isn't, where you want to go, and then I'll help you create a plan to get there. And if that's something you want my help to implement, we'll talk about that too. Okay. So till we meet again. And thanks for listening to me on round one of flashbacks. And we'll talk soon more about flashbacks, because getting through those is really, really powerful. Take care.